Yeah, we're based in the business school here, so we're just right on the right of the entrance hall. So if anyone wants to pop in, we have a co-working space there for people that are looking at starting their own business or progressing a little bit further. And the Entrepreneurship Centre is all about running programs for people and giving them skills to run those startups and develop their ideas. So looking forward in the future, we think there's some kind of key areas that kind of will never change. So we're looking at software development, particularly for females, and developing skills for women that are interested in coding and things like that, and also kind of things like CEO skills, what it takes to be a good CEO and develop a team. But I'm not going to do much more talking because we have a video that I'm going to show.
So the Entrepreneurship Centre provides three things. Firstly, it provides an entrepreneurship education and skills training for students across the University of Oxford, in particular trying to develop an entrepreneurial mindset in those students. Secondly, we support students who are interested in setting up their own businesses through practical support such as funding and mentoring. And thirdly, we are at the cutting edge of entrepreneurship research and thought leadership. In particular, develop policy roundtables to help disseminate that research and also look at new approaches to entrepreneurship education.
The space has been fantastic for me. I was a scientist, so I didn't have any of these sort of skills, and coming down here, meeting the people, learning from them, along with some of the events that are put on in this space, it has been fantastic for me. And I'd highly recommend it for anybody that's thinking about entrepreneurship or sort of starting off that journey. I mean, it also is a fantastic space to interact with the MBA cohort that's right on the doorstep.
Oxford is fabulous because you have people of different walks of life who can meet through the college system, through the small town, and so we get this incredible diversity that is at the beginning of the entrepreneurial venture.
I think Oxford's a great entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think you can have access to people with world-class skills here. I think there's a lot of fantastic technology. I think there's the opportunity to fund a business, and it's also a great location. It's convenient for the rest of the UK and convenient for the rest of the world. In particular, the university provides access to some very powerful international connections, which can be very important for our students looking to set up businesses.
The Entrepreneurship Centre helped in quite a few ways. They had a Building Business series, which was pretty comprehensive. They brought top speakers. Later, they organised events whereby they would introduce myself and other entrepreneurs to potential individuals who might be it investors, mentors, advisors, and even customers. And later, they actually invested in one of our earlier investment rounds and were supportive both financially and on the advisory side too.
The Entrepreneurship Centre is at the heart of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Oxfordshire. It brings together entrepreneurs so they can support one another, they can offer each other advice and information. It's a chance to network and also meet the resident experts, the lunchtime speakers, to mix with the Entrepreneurship Centre staff, and also attend and be aware of some of the events that go on at the business school.
So that's us. So I only have 3 minutes, so that was our 3 minutes. So, but if you do have any questions, like I say, we're just off of the entrance hall, so do feel free to come in and see the space.
My name's Adrian Stokes from the CPD Centre in Continuing Education, and I'm here just to let you know that we exist really, because you'll all know about Oxford University's research, you'll know about the business school and so on, and the Entrepreneurship Centre which we work with. But what you may not know about is the fact that we are set up in the university to do a wide range of things in supporting how research gets into practice in collaborations with business and industry and the professions. So we have about 15,000 people a year work with us in continuing education. About half of those people are doing what they're doing for some kind of business or career purpose. And the engagements with us range from 1 day through to almost a lifetime, actually. The programs go up to 8 years with part-time DPhils. So I think the message I want to get across is that if you see parts of the university you want to work with and it's on the kind of skills and people development theme that Wendy introduced at the beginning, Entrepreneurship Centre are providing for that. But if it's in technical areas or in areas which are where you want to combine developing people with developing new processes, well, we probably have a way to do it. And because not all of the research departments have that as their core business, obviously they are primarily oriented towards research, we're set up to work with them to help these things get designed and to use a whole range of modes. So, for example, you may associate the university with people who come, live in Oxford, they're within some very nice walls for 3 or 4 years, and then they go away and lead the world. But there are also people who engage with in other ways, purely online, for example. So we develop online programs, blended programs, mixed programs, and so forth, which enable people to come along, get some the learning that they need, and go back into positive cycles of development and mix things up and move them on. So the fact that that exists, the Continuing Professional Development Centre and Continuing Education is what I'd like you to be aware of. So as you look at all the other things around the university which are so interesting and vibrant, they're probably working with us in some way, and if you see something you could catalyse, it could get bigger. So whether it's nanotechnology, whether it's vaccine development, whether it's microelectronics, whether it's big data, we're working with those parts of the university to make things which you don't have to, you can do a degree in it, but if you want to do something smaller, if you want to start small, we even have a revolutionary idea, the idea that you might get credit for a smaller piece of work. Yeah? Not revolutionary in the world, but not the thing you might associate with Oxford, but that's the kind of thing we're doing. So I hope that's the main message, just brief, but I've been looking forward to the rest of the presentations, and we work with the Entrepreneurship Centre, so any follow-ups can come through those channels as well. Thanks very much.
What I'd like to share with you is a very brief story about a piece of translational research we've been doing. So in zoology, we have discipline-specific expertise about modelling patterns of biodiversity and ecosystems. But we're keen not to just do pure research and publish our papers in journals, but also to reach out and solve problems for society. So what happened was a major multinational oil company, Statoil, based in Norway, approached our department about 3 years ago. And they said, we have this problem, which is that we have options to develop bits of land all around the world. And this is a common problem across extractive industries and agriculture and other businesses that have impacts on land, of trying to assess a landscape and see, is there any potential for damage and for the reputational risk that might arise from that? And that's not actually what they said. They said, where can we get away with damaging and the media won't hound us? But actually, as a scientist, it's really interesting to reach out to other stakeholders, because sometimes people ask really good questions that stimulates good research. And so what we decided to do is we had some workshops with them, and we thought about what might be a sensible way to address that problem. We realised that what was required was a big data kind of solution, but that was very straightforward for the user. So we built a web interface where a person can say, I have a question about a piece of land anywhere in the world, and you can go to this website. It's very, very straightforward to use. You essentially draw a box on a map and push go. And then behind the scenes, we've worked very hard as scientists to scan the literature, figure out the best and most appropriate ways and data sets to present aspects of the environment. So, for example, where do the globally threatened species live? Where is the vegetation most resilient to climate change? How connected to landscapes? Are there risks to watercourses of doing activities in particular places? And we've pre-calculated and stored all this information at very fine resolution, at 30-metre resolution globally. And it's possible, basically, for our system to select the relevant bits of data and put it into an automatically generated report. It's about 15 pages long and quite straightforward to understand, that explains all that data and contextualises it, makes it relevant to the business decision that has to be made. And our users suggest that this is quite a worthwhile thing for them. We have about 500 registered users, 2 or 3 analyses run every day. It's currently free of charge. You can go to the website and play with it if you're curious. But these are multinationals, they're environmental consultancies, some government departments across Europe, also environmental NGOs, and also a number of academics use it simply as a tool for discovering data. So this is the landing page. It's quite straightforward. We've got a short video. I won't show it to you now, but you're very welcome to go and have a look. The key button is the go to the tool, and if you do that, you come into the map interface, and there are lots of ways of specifying where your interest is. You can type a place name, or you can pan or zoom the map, or put in some coordinates for an area you're curious about. And this is what comes back. You get an email about 20 minutes later that says your analysis is complete. You can download the report. You can also download some data to use in GIS if you want to do that. So I haven't got much time, but I just want to give you a flavour of the kind of results you might get and how you might use it in a business decision. So the first thing you get, this is just an example of a place in eastern USA. You get a street map that contextualises the environment. Next, we provide a land cover classification, drawing on satellite observations. So this is mainly a forested landscape in green, but there's some urban areas in red and some watercourses and grasslands. We then have a huge database of records of endangered species all around the world, so we can draw lots of records colour-coded for plants and birds and so on. and show you how much biodiversity is in a particular area, where is it distributed, where are the threatened species, where is there very homogeneous biodiversity, where are the important areas of turnover. And this is again turned automatically into maps, so you can see where is there high species richness and high turnover, where is the greatest concentration potentially of endangered species that you should be aware of. And in some areas of the world this is not a very serious issue, but in some ecosystems globally it's potentially very important to be aware of these kinds of things so you can make decisions about them, so you can be aware of what risks might be there in the future. That's it. Okay, that's all I have to say really. There are several maps that come out, and please go and play with the tool if you want to. Thank you.
Gosh, now for something completely different. Oxfordshire's low carbon economy. I guess this is familiar to most of you. We're sat here in Oxfordshire having discussions about economic strategy and plans to sort of 2030 as a time horizon. The Local Enterprise Partnership has published various reports. They have their own vision, which is based very much on high-tech, export-led growth, which chimes very much with the things that were being said earlier in this session. They've highlighted, because of the high-tech, export-led aspect of this, the knowledge spine running between the Science Vale in the south through to Bicester with Oxford as its heart. In the next 15 years, maybe, a suggestion that we would have 85,000 new jobs in the county, the need for possibly 100,000 new homes. I'm just picking a few highlights from some of their publications here, but improved broadband county-wide as well, and then investment in better transport, which we are beginning to see. We were commissioned to look at some of the implications of this and then think about what this strategic plan, this strategic vision, how it might be an opportunity to really invest in low carbon. We know that the housing and transport systems that we have in the county are already under pressure. If you look at the picture bottom left, this is it's a visionary sort of image from the County Council of a monorail running around the ring road of Oxford with a few cyclists and a few cars. The picture top left is from the Witney Gazette of the current traffic trying to get into Oxford on a weekday morning. We know that these things are highly contested politically. Local residents in Weston-on-the-Green basically lobbied out the previous version of the eco plan because they didn't like the idea. Stop the eco town, 3 million tonnes of concrete, one chance to say no. Where are all these homes going to be? Where are these businesses going to be based? How are people going to move about? How is it going to be attractive to the new businesses that are going to come? And the quotation, doing nothing is not an option. Some of you may recognise it. It comes from the leader of the County Council, Ian Hudspeth. Deliberately provocative, deliberately saying, look, we can't just rest on our laurels. Something is going to have to change. If that something is going to have to change, what is the opportunity for Oxford to really take a lead and make its mark as a low-carbon economy? So doing some of this economic growth, but also weaving in all of the low-carbon stuff as well. So the report, I've got a couple of copies. If people want it, I can give you the link. Give me your business card later. It builds on Oxfordshire's strengths as a knowledge-based economy, which we've heard about already. We know that there's a need for great amounts of coordination and learning about how to do stuff differently, not just new technology, but ways of doing things differently. And we did some broad brush economic modelling. Roughly £300 million of investment annually will give us roughly 1.35 billion return every year. In addition to the 85,000 jobs I talked about, this might generate 11,000 more jobs in Oxfordshire. But crucially, these are not all high-tech jobs. This is high-tech, yes, but also medium-tech, low-tech. This is construction firms, as well as the people generating new solar panel technology. This is people giving advice on travel plans for local businesses. Oh, hello. I was expecting one more slide. Anyway, that's the report. If you want to learn some more about it, please come and see me afterwards.